Everyone knew Grace didn't have anyone waiting for her at home. That's what made her a target. At 16, Grace had already survived more than most kids twice her age. She lost both parents in a car accident when she was 9. After bouncing between relatives and foster homes, she ended up in a group shelter just outside the city. Quiet, careful, and deeply observant, Grace kept to herself, always tucked in the back row of the classroom, trying not to draw attention. But in high school, silence wasn't protection. It was blood in the water. From the first day she walked into East Ridge High, some students decided she didn't belong. They mocked her clothes, sneered at her silence, and whispered behind her back. She lives in a shelter. She smells poor. Probably steals things. Their voices followed her like shadows. But Grace never talked back. She just walked a little faster, head a little lower, hoping no one would notice her. But some people always did. 3 seniors in particular, Logan, Brittany, and Dylan, seemed to enjoy making her life hell. Logan was the ringleader, arrogant and charming on the surface but cruel underneath. Brittany, his girlfriend, played sweet to teachers but spat venom when no one was watching. Dylan just laughed at whatever Logan did. They were popular. Untouchable. And they made Grace's days miserable. It started with accidental shoulder bumps. Then they tripped her in the hallway. Stole her sketchbook. Drew on her locker. One day, Logan smeared ketchup on her chair before she sat down. Everyone laughed when she stood up, red staining her jeans. Grace clenched her fists but stayed silent. No one helped. No one wanted to be their next target. At the shelter, Grace would go to the shared library and draw in silence. Her sketchbook was her escape. Pages filled with figures standing tall, even when the world pushed them down. She imagined herself strong, fighting back, but in reality, she just endured. She had no parents to complain to, no siblings to lean on. Just her caseworker, Miss Torres, a kind woman with tired eyes and a soft voice, who always told her, "You're stronger than you know." But strength doesn't always feel like enough. The turning point came one gray Thursday afternoon. Grace was walking down the back stairwell, headed to her art class. That stairwell was always empty, no cameras, no teachers. That's probably why the 3 of them were waiting. Logan stepped in front of her. "Where you going, Orphan?" he smirked. Brittany giggled. Dylan pulled out his phone. "I'm late for class," Grace said quietly. Logan leaned closer. "We're not done having fun yet." Then it happened. A shove. Quick, violent, unforgiving. Grace's feet flew out from under her. She tumbled down the steps, hitting her side, her arm, her back, finally crashing at the landing. Pain exploded through her shoulder. Her ears rang. She couldn't breathe. She heard their laughter echoing above her before the door slammed shut. They didn't think twice. She was just the quiet girl from the shelter. No family. No voice. No proof. But they were wrong. Grace lay on that cold floor, tears stinging her eyes, not just from pain but from something deeper. A feeling that she didn't deserve this. That no one did. An hour later, she was taken to the hospital. Dislocated shoulder. Cracked rib. Bruises down her back. When Miss Torres arrived, she found Grace clutching her sketchbook, trembling. And for the first time, Grace said the words out loud, "They did this to me. They pushed me." Miss Torres looked her in the eye and said, "Then let's prove it." The next day, while Grace recovered at the shelter, Miss Torres contacted the school. But just like Grace had feared, the principal was hesitant. "We didn't see anything. No cameras on that stairwell. No witnesses." The students denied everything. Logan claimed she fell. Brittany said she wasn't even there. Dylan shrugged. But Grace didn't give up. It was another student. Miguel, a quiet boy from her math class, who stepped forward days later. He said he'd seen them corner Grace before and had suspected they'd try something worse. That morning, he had secretly placed a tiny motion-triggered camera just outside the stairwell. They found the footage. Clear as day, Logan pushing her. Brittany laughing. Dylan filming. The police were called. The video went viral within hours of being posted online. Students who had once ignored Grace now looked at her with wide eyes. Reporters reached out. Advocacy groups contacted the school. The footage became a symbol of how often quiet kids are abused in silence. Logan, Brittany, and Dylan were arrested and later sentenced to juvenile detention. The school was forced to install cameras in all stairwells. A zero-tolerance bullying policy was put into place. But more importantly, Grace was no longer invisible. She was invited to speak at anti-bullying events. She told her story not with bitterness, but with purpose. No matter how small you feel, she once said at a school assembly, your story matters. Your pain matters. And when you speak up, even if your voice shakes, people will hear you. Grace went on to win a scholarship for her art. Her drawings, once silent cries for strength, were now displayed in galleries. One, titled The Fall, showed a faceless girl falling down stairs, shadows laughing at the top, but with wings rising behind her, ready to carry her higher. Because Grace didn't just survive that stairwell. She rose from it. Moral of the story. Never underestimate someone just because they're quiet or alone. And never think cruelty will stay hidden. Truth always finds its way to the surface, especially when the victim chooses to rise and speak.